heard the name of some of the other firefighters and emergency workers who'd been on the show. I'm so busy, I'll be driving along at midnight listening to, local NPR and hear some firefighters saying there were bombs. I mean, there's so many, folks. Here at Ground Zero, they're all telling you this. There's very few that'll go public. The Loose Change guys got in contact with a fellow who's about to go public who said they saw the bombs going off and the molten steel and all the rest of it. But this Indira Singh thing, we are now confirming on the Guns and Butter site. We're getting those clips. We'll get the host on. We'll get their names. We'll get them back on. In fact, a few months ago, I actually told my producer, who gets very busy, about, and I guess I didn't give him all the details, but we need to just send it to Kevin at Infowars.com. All the firefighters, all the police, all the emergency workers that you've heard on the radio. There's so many of them is the problem. We need to get them all in one big article where you can just here's 25 of them. We got video clips of them, we got audio clips of them, we got them in People magazine saying it, but still the disinfo individuals run around saying it's not true, none of it's real. All right, this is really big, and it is. Aaron James has an incredible story, and I feel sorry for him because the last 2 days the news has been so hot and furious. We've been following so many things. I mean, I even forgot to call the lady back yesterday who was in the Army who saw him handing out upwards of $2,000 every few weeks to him in Baghdad off the giant pallets of $14 billion, one delivery of $4 billion weighing 363 tons. And that was in Reuters. But then I have eyewitnesses calling in. I write down her number. I put it in the pile. I don't give it to my writers. Paul Watson, Steve Watson, Aaron Dykes, they need to be writing articles about this. It's just news breaking continually. And it's stuff that we overlook. I mean, NPR in New York did announce they were going to blow that building up. Okay, I've talked to over 50 people. I've talked to cops who heard it. You call NPR, there is no archive of it. They won't give it to you. Okay, I've got cops on tape. I got firemen on tape. I got all these people on tape saying it. They all heard it. They all saw it. And we just start talking about some new whistleblower, and here a caller calls in and goes, hey, man, for 2 years, this has been on the web at a major syndicated news program. And this happens all the time. I get emails about this stuff. I get leads. I mean, there's not that many of us here. It's just, there's so many stories, so many things we want to talk about. So in about 20 minutes, we'll get into this. And the caller who brought this up and gave us this info is on hold. We're going to be getting clips of it, playing it. John Harmon does the job of 10 people up there at the network. I want to commend him answering the phone, running the show, and doing clips. It's insane. Support Genesis more so we can get more people in there to help him. Aaron James was a mixed race. He's not a Muslim. I believe he said his mother is white, his dad was black and Asian. So I guess that was one big thing against him. And basically, let me just put the story in a nutshell. Well, let's just have him put it in a nutshell. And he's got a website. We've had it up there for 2 days on InfoWars. Visit it. And this is the exact same stuff we see over and over again. If you argue in any way, they go ahead and taser you, beat you. If you say, I don't like to be racially profiled, or you complain, they stand around you and make fun of you. I've had it happen to me. Just out of the blue for no reason in L.A., they just said, oh, you got stinky feet. Ha-ha, you want something you want to say, Mr. Stinky Feet? And I guess these were racist black guys who don't like white guys. They're just having a little fun with a white guy. Well, it's really, see, that's a problem with racism. People just do it back to each other. But Aaron James is our guest, and he was charged with felony first degree. Sir, thank you for holding. I'm sorry we moved you today, and I'm sorry there's so much other stuff breaking around you coming on, but thank you for joining us. In a nutshell, tell folks what happened to you.
Thank you for having me here.
You bet.
To caption it quickly, as an overview, we were profiled on our way down due to issues of ethnicity, and we arrived at our hotel without our baggage because the airline had confiscated it by the logs and had rummaged through our baggage looking for whatever you look for when you're profiling someone. We were told, the airline had told us that they had simply misplaced our baggage, that it would be delivered to our hotel immediately upon discovery. It arrived at our hotel with a note appended to it indicating this bag has been searched, seized, searched, locks cut due to issues of national security. And so they were not very shy about telling us that we had been profiled. We made a complaint on account of this, and on our return trip, we complained at the Northwest Airlines desk. I should back up somewhat and say that we went down to the Mayo Clinic as a surgical consult over an injury that I had sustained to my arm. And so when I was attacked and left in a pool of blood on the middle of the aisle of an aircraft on my way back, they were attacking a man who had the use of one arm and who had done nothing in order to instigate this attack or warrant this attack. We complained on our return flight. They were very aggressive. They ripped the complaint form from my hand when I used the words profiling and said, well, you won't be needing this complaint form, then will you? We noticed that...
Well, let's just make it clear. You flew down from Canada to the U.S. Your bags don't come. They say they searched them. You went to the airport and said, I want a complaint form for being racially profiled. That's when it all started. Go through it.
He ripped the complaint form from my hand and said, I said I may be following this up from a legal perspective because this is profiling. He said, well, if you're going to go that route, you won't be needing this then. And he ripped the complaint form from my hand. There were 3 of them at the desk while we were speaking. I looked back and I noticed that 7 of them had gathered and convened about the desk just before we took the elevator up to the main level, and they were giving us very hostile looks and gestures. We then took our return flight. It was the trip from Rochester on a return flight to Minneapolis took place without incident. We had complained on a return trip at Rochester. However, our trip from from Minneapolis to Winnipeg ended in disaster. We were attacked, and by all appearances, this attack was very much premeditated. It was Flight 1628, Northwest Airlines, 7:15 p.m. at Minneapolis Airport, Bloomingdale. And what happened is that within 30 seconds of having boarded the aircraft, Northwest Airlines stewardess Sherry Caudell began harassing, accosting the mother verbally on the count of an issue with a bag. She stated, "Is there a problem here?" twice, and loud enough to draw the attention of the entire set of 150 passengers.
I'd just like to say here, I've never been addressed like that by an airline attendant before in my life.
Yeah, let's be clear. Tell us who we're speaking with just for the audience.
I'm Aaron's mother. I was with him. We went down together because we were expecting to have surgery on Aaron's arm.
Okay, and then what did the flight attendant say to you? Just out of the blue, tell us the story.
Just out of the blue, I'm just sitting there minding my own business, and all of a sudden this woman is standing at the end of my aisle, and she says to me in a very loud and aggressive, hostile tone, "Is there a problem here?" Well, I had no idea that...
Now, again, how this happens is you stand up and say you're going to file complaints with the goons outside, and that's how they do it. They wait then until they get you on the plane, then they've got you in the national security zone and can use the marshals and everybody else on you.
They targeted us, but good.
Okay, so you're there. What happens next? Okay, so she says...
Is there a problem here?
And folks, I've already read the report. That's why I'm going through the story with them. And you can link to it up on Infowars.com. So just, is there a problem here? What happened next?
Well, I told her I didn't know what she was talking about, and she indicated the bag that Aaron had left on our seats when he went to the bathroom, and she, very hostile, said, "Does this belong to you or somebody else?" I explained it was Aaron's. I was shocked. I have to admit, I was thinking at the time, if you were an airline attendant in Canada, you would not have a job. Nobody talks to a customer like that. That's what I was thinking at the time. I knew nothing about the fact that they had all taken Homeland Security training programs.
Oh, yeah, they're all little Jack Bauers. But
totally paranoid.
I understand. So what happened next?
Okay, Aaron, you take it from there.
Okay, just to clarify, you can look on my website, aaronjamesstory.com. That is AARONJAMESSTORY.com. You'll see a link regarding the Homeland Security training as well as links to much of the material we're about to discuss. In any case, so they had just freshly finished this training, which was a training in order to promote extremism and hostility in general. She asked my mother twice if there was a problem regarding the bag. My mother... Well,
look, that's an old bad cop trick. You're just calm, and they want you out of an area or something, and they say, "You got a problem? Huh? What's the problem?" Trying to get you to... And then at that point, I just put my hands at my side, and then if they start moving forward, you just lay down.
I see.
And that's how you get them, because they're still going to attack you, and then you get to send them to prison. But go ahead.
Okay. I was in the washroom at this time because within 30 seconds of having boarded the aircraft, when my mother was getting seated, I went to use the washroom, and even in this brief span of time, she's already being profiled and verbally accosted. On my way back from the washroom, as I'm walking down the aisle, Sherry Caudell, the same stewardess, accosted me in the aisle. I walked past, and she had said something that was very soft and indiscernible. I didn't respond. We'd already been profiled. I wasn't exactly on the best of terms with Northwest Airlines to begin with after this point, but I heard a voice yelling at me from behind me, and she, again, the same response: "Is there a problem here?" In fact, she said, "Do you have a problem?" this time. And I wasn't sure that she was speaking to me. I hadn't done anything to mitigate that kind of response. And she stated it twice, again, "Do you have a problem?" And I turned. I was walking away, and I noticed the voice didn't get it. It wasn't any further away than it was the first time. I turned, and she was standing right in front of me, invading my personal space. And I said, "No." She said, "Well, are you sure?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Oh, really?" I said, "Well, no, there's no problem here." And every time that she spoke, her voice raised just a little bit more to try to grab attention. She was attempting to villainize us in front of the audience. Or
they got to do that before they beat you down with pleasure.
Exactly.
Stay there. Let's go through what happened from that point on. Not only do you get a good beating now in the Nazi America, you get to get a charge on top of it. In the old days, they just beat you up. Now you get a charge with it.
Now you can bring Berkey purification power anywhere with the Sport Berkey filtration bottle. Ideal for sporting games, camping, or boating. Or Sport Berkey is small enough to store in your glove box, so it's ideal backup for unexpected emergencies like blackouts, floods, or earthquakes. It's simply the best personal water filtration system available. So effective you can drink raw, untreated water from lakes, rivers, and streams. Unlike other Sport bottles, the Sport Berkey's patented filter formulation is so powerful it removes cysts, parasites, harmful bacteria, and chemicals like herbicides and pesticides. It even reduces radon-222, lead, and other heavy metals. This lightweight, rugged 22-ounce filter is small enough to go everywhere, so take one to work and keep another in your glove box for emergencies. Get the Berkey Sport for only $39. Get two for $70 by calling New Millennium at 888-803-4438. Order your Berkey Sport today. That's toll-free, 888-803-4438, or order on the web at berkeywater.com.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson, here for the 2007 Red Book. The commodity markets like gold, silver, copper, aluminum, and oil have exploded over the last year. This is a glaring testimony of how quickly the U.S. dollar can be devalued. Many have turned to precious metals to provide a safe haven while increasing the potential profits. Though accumulating precious metals has been a proven method for the storage of wealth, it is important that you understand the market you are getting into. Midas Resources is offering the Red Book and Silver Dollar for only $27.95. The Red Book is the #1 best-selling guide to gold and silver coins. Call for your copy today. It's 800-686-2237. If you've already accumulated or plan to get into the precious metals market, you simply must have the Red Book in your library. Call 800-686-2237. That's 1-800-686-2237.
Hello, friends. Alex Jones here with an important question. When was the last time you used Pure Soap? I mean, real hard to find all-natural Pure Soap that contains no dyes, perfumes, deodorants, detergents, or other dangerous toxins. The Calvin Pure Soap Company, for the past 57 years, has been making triple concentrated Pure Soaps exclusively for healthcare professionals and hospitals. Now, for the first time, Calvin Pure Soap is available factory direct to you and your family. That's great news because Calvin Pure Soap is made from all-natural ingredients, is earth-friendly, and completely environmentally safe. So if you want yesterday's values today for good old-fashioned Pure Soap, call 1-800-340-7091. Save up to 85% off supermarket and retail store prices. Call today for a Calvin Soap catalog at 1-800-340-7091. That's 1-800-340-7091, or on the web at calvinpuresoap.com. Try Pure Soap once and I'll guarantee you'll never use anything else.
Attention, this is an urgent GCN news bulletin. Do you desperately need to get out of debt fast? Would you like to make some of your debts disappear completely? If so, and you're a GCN listener, there's a very real chance that you'll now be able to do it. Here's why. A new manual has just been published that reveals how you can get out of debt in 90 minutes without any loans or bankruptcy whatsoever. The insider secrets revealed allow you to get out of debt so fast and so completely that it makes some people feel like they're cheating, but they're not. The secrets taught in the manual are 100% legal and 100% ethical. It's just that bankers, debt collectors, and credit card companies don't want you to know about these loopholes. Learn how to finally teach those financial vultures some humility by beating them at their own game, and above all, learn how to bail out for a soft landing. Get control, get relief, get some sleep. Go to www.outin90.com. That's www.outin90.com. Or call 877-327-0365. That's 877-327-0365.
Huge audio clips from the show Guns and Butter. I'm going to get the host on and the people, the emergency workers. Kevin McFadden, I believe firefighter and other emergency responder. Indra Singh, about the bombs in the buildings being brought down. We're going to put a big article together. We'll have to really put our thinking caps on to remember all the people that have gone public, and we'll try to stick them all in there for you. I mean, this is the type of work needs to be done. Okay, going back to Aaron James and his mother, who I didn't know was going to be on with us today, or perhaps my producer didn't tell me, so I apologize for not suddenly going, hey, what's going on? Let's accelerate through what happened next on the plane, and then what happened after when they followed you to Canada, and what subsequently has happened. Aaron James, please continue.
Very quickly, then, there were 5 counts of harassment aboard the aircraft. The first was the issue over the bag. The second, the blatant harassment in the aisle. Third, the same stewardess came back, asked us about customs forms again once yet she had already...
Okay, let's stop right there. So this is ongoing. When did you get jumped on?
Well, after we were announced lunatics over the open PA system by a stewardess who would later say we're trained to kill before we were killed, they rerouted the aircraft to the main port. 5 officers came on board. A false report of an irate passenger had been released. Yet the senior stewardess reiterates James remained calm and composed at all times.
So a response team, basically a prison tackle gang. Anybody that's seen the video of that, so describe what happened.
All with pistols, with guns, and 2 with taser weapons as well, walked onto the aircraft. We were pointed out. They walked over to my seat. I asked these officers, Sean Hort, number 54, Sergeant Milton, 14, Brad Wingate, 89, Stephen Swaggart, 46, Sergeant Alvin Cooper, number 15, 5 of them. Yet they'll only claim that there were 4 officers on board. I'll get into that in just a moment. We were pointed out, and I asked them 3 questions. Am I under arrest? Have I committed any crime? And am I being charged? Their response was emphatically, no, sir, you are not, to all 3 questions. And they asked me then to get up out of my seat. I capitulated. And then they demanded, now get off the plane. I asked, well, if I'm not under arrest, I've committed no crime, and I'm not being charged, under what authority are you asking me to leave the aircraft? And there was no answer to this question. Their response was an attack upon an injured man who had come back from the Mayo Clinic, leaving me in a pool of blood with my mother looking on in horror, who was thereafter threatened herself.
What did they do to you?
Tasered me incessantly with 50,000 volts to the chest. In writing, they have it. They elbowed me in the head. I received the 12-stitch laceration to my brow, and I had to be rushed to the hospital. I was left literally in a pool of blood in the middle of the aisle of the aircraft. They tried to kill me. And the thing is, in writing, they have it stipulated in writing that they had this taser over my left chest, which of course is the heart, for over 10 seconds, in writing. And now,
why, when they tasered you, would they beat you on the head and give you 12 stitches?
They elbowed me. I began by blocking the taser. Trying to block the taser. At no point did I lay any hands on them. However,
but not just exactly. Like you've just got to take your shirt off and go, please hit me. I mean, if you do anything, I mean, was it assault on a taser dart? They'll probably start having burials for taser darts. They already have that for police dogs. You kick a police dog that's attacking you, 44 years. One guy yelled in Newcastle, PA, 6 years ago at a police dog. Associated Press. He was walking through a mall parking lot. The window was down, jumped out and scared him. The guy went, ah! And yelled back. That's happened to me before with other people's dogs. And yelling was assault, and he got 2 years in prison. So you're lucky. I mean, pretty soon they'll probably have ceremonies for taser darts, and we'll have to bow down and, the officer, the taser dart. I'm sorry.
Okay. I appreciate where you're coming from on that. Brad Wingate, and to make this even clearer, in the hospital, on stand, and there was a trial, and there were FBI, CIA, NSA, and military, Northwest Airlines employees, and Minneapolis police on the jury pool itself, which is illegal, of course, because the jury pool is randomly selected, quote unquote. But off of the stand, in private, they admit everything to you. And what he said was, I was receiving my 12 stitches to my head. Well, you were cooperating all times, and we know you're just a good guy. But of course, you're a big guy, so we weren't sure what you were going to do, and so we had to act. And so
they get them in such a position of fear that they just a bunch of savage animals.
Well, this is where the profiling aspect comes to it.
You're a big black guy.
They see a large minority. They associate, and they've been trained to by these profiling programs that are going on. And as my website will indicate on that link, their Minneapolis profiling program is one of the pioneer projects, and so probably one of the more severe. And
but let's go through briefly when we get back, and we'll have to have you on as this develops. But let's go through what they charge you with, what happened when they came to Canada for you, the threats you got. And then you're at the trial, and they're like, yeah, we know you didn't do anything, but, you're not cop, you're little people. And this happens all the time on these planes. I mean, a pregnant woman doesn't want to be strip searched in front of people in crowds, they beat her down. You won't drink your breast milk, you're beaten down. I could take it when they stood around laughing at me.
We're on the march. The Empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network. We at The Bible Says want to alert the world to the topic of the Mark of the Beast. Soon it will be upon us as an overwhelming surprise. The world is pressing toward a forced one-world religion. The real issue behind this is the union of church and state, nullifying our First Amendment. Americans will have to give up their peculiar beliefs and accept what the new world religious leaders prescribe. In 2005, President Bush signed the Real ID Act, which goes into effect May 11, 2008. Many people believe that this will be the mark of the beast because of the restrictive measures included, which seems to parallel the no buying and selling of Revelations 13:17. In Revelations 14:9, speaking of the mark of the beast, it says, if any man worship the beast, take notice. It says, worship the beast. This issue is about worship, not economics. For a better understanding of this very important topic and to receive your 3 free books and a free DVD, call 1-888-211-1715. That's 1-888-211-1715.
Shelley, you look exhausted. Oh, wait. Why did you turn that down?
I get so tired of that girl's squeaky voice. I'm sure the bed fan works, but that squeaky voice.
Well, what's the bed fan?
It's a fan that helps hot sleepers stay cool at night.
I could use something like that. This menopause thing is really getting to me at night, and you know how I am about doing that hormone therapy thing. Besides, you're a hot sleeper yourself. You're always throwing the covers off in the middle of the night.
I guess you're right. Why don't we try it? Just think how nice it'll be to sleep through the night.
Yeah, and just think how nice it'll be this summer and all the money we can save on air conditioning.
I know where we can get some more information.
Sleep disorder centers across the country recommend that you must stay cool to get a good night's sleep. The bed fan will keep you cool and give you the restful sleep you deserve. With our 30-day 100% guarantee, you risk nothing. Are you a hot sleeper? Is your partner a hot sleeper? The bed fan is the answer. Visit us today at www.bedfan.com. That's www.bedfan.com.
That's bedfan.com.
People who use Cardivite know about the pollutants in our body and want them out. For over 5 years, Cardivite has proven itself time-tested. Here's Dr. Matson, a naturopathic doctor's thoughts on Cardivite.
In our mind, there isn't such a great big mystery to disease anymore. This basic tenet of yeast in the gut and metals in the liver covers at least 70-80% of the diseases that we see. When we do our program, herbal formulas like Cardivite, and you see someone who could barely walk up a hill now going for regular jogs, a few months later, we know we're doing something right. It's a well-thought-out formula. I mean, the idea of it working on yeast and metals both at the same time and liver function is dead on. You'll find, I think, that it'll work more than just on heart problems and circulation problems. It'll work on other problems as well.
For more information, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit our website at www.heartdrop.com. That toll-free number again, 1-877-928-8822. 20.
Day after day, alone on a hill, the man with the foolish grin is keeping perfectly still. But nobody wants to know him, they can see that he's just a fool. And he never gives an answer, but the fool on the hill sees the sun going down, and the eyes in his head see the world spinning.
What, about 4 months ago, it came out in the Denver Post and the Associated Press that head air marshals and a bunch of their deputies went public saying, look, we're told to put people on terror list every month. We have to have quotas to keep the illusion that there's this big threat going, and we put innocent people on there for no reason, and this is on their permanent record forever. And I've looked at this case. I've looked at the reports. He's got masses of documentation on his website, Aaron James does. And he got the beat down. He got tasered. He got his head split. He went to the hospital. And they don't stop there now because they got to protect themselves now. See, that's the problem. When they wrongfully attack you, then they got to make sure and put you into the system so that you to protect themselves. Boy, that's really bad karma. I don't believe in karma itself, but, just the you reap what you sow, I do believe in. And man, I wouldn't want to be just in God's crosshairs. It just, boy, all the bad stuff's going to happen to them in their lives. It isn't going to be any man that does it. It's going to be God. And I just hope evil people understand that you do bad stuff. You got really bad stuff coming up. And it's real. It's real. You need to know that. You need to understand that. I'm scared to do wrong, folks, because I know. I've experienced it. You do good, you get rewarded. You do bad, you get punished. And it isn't man that does it most of the time. Just finishing up, Aaron James, with just the whole saga, what happened, and then how we can help you.
Well, there was a massive cover-up that followed. The first thing I would state is that Northwest Airlines claims that there was no camera aboard the aircraft, which is absolute nonsense. This is ludicrous. There's always a camera aboard a flight, no less an international flight between nations. And so in order to falsely implicate and cover up for their crimes and avoid culpability, they tried to confine my mother to the plane, insisted that she couldn't come off. And I've been instructed that if they had been successful in this, that I might be dead at this point. They then falsified the reports. They then withheld their badge numbers. They then rearranged the positions on the aircrafts as reported in their falsified reports. Only 4 of the 5 badge numbers were given in the end. And once this was complete, they followed suit with a massive media villainization to spread a false message throughout the masses and indoctrinate the people.
Oh, yeah, all the time you hear, they were beating Al-Qaeda again today. They took him down.
Of course.
Another deadly Al-Qaeda defeated.
And so on the Internet, radio, television, and newspaper, over 100 counts, over 40 counts found on the Internet alone of independent media reporting on this. And what gets worse is that I've now recently found no less than 5 government and FBI sites up on the Internet with my name under major crimes. And so...
Well, they use you for statistics. Look at the Al-Qaeda we're defeating. Really? And of course, they're told, put innocent people on the system. It's all part of the meat machine. Go through the trial, but go through how they sent FBI up to Canada, how you got threatened. Go through that.
Even before this happens, there was a nightmare in jail. No Miranda rights, beaten down, left in a pool of blood. I was then jailed 9 days with bail denied and FBI interrogation in one FBI agent, Mark Wrench, who would later appear at my home. But in this cell in Minneapolis, the FBI were admitted in conjunction with access to outside communication being illegally cut off via making my calling card.
Yeah, no lawyers, no nothing, just being interrogated. It's all freedom.
No, and they also cut off. They made my calling card defunct so that it wouldn't work, so that the standard issue calling card was no longer functional. I could not call a Canadian consulate. No one knew where I was.
How did you finally get out?
My mother had been in attendance, and again, I was instructed that if she wasn't there, I may not be where I am today. But they waited for the pool of blood to pool out of my eyes so that I'd be more presentable. And 9 days gave them a sufficient time to concoct a story, try desperately to find any links, perhaps to Al-Qaeda or terrorist threats, During the time I was interrogated, there were threats in the elevator shaft. All medical attention to that was ordered by the doctor was denied. Canadian consulate refused intervention, despite I emphasized that I was in severe danger. And again, this bail hearing came the very day after one of the guards walked into my cell and instructed me, "Oh, that's very interesting. Your eye seems to be much better today." And so at that point, they felt it was safe to release me because most of the evidence of what they had done had been washed away. The blood had pooled out of my eye.
Okay, we only got a minute or two left, and just finish up the story.
There was a bail hearing, an unprecedented 3-day bail hearing. We were then put on a no-fly list, a 14-hour bus ride back to Winnipeg. We were then threatened at the border by Chris Nissen, U.S. Customs personnel, in that he had said that you were going to have major problems when you come back to the border for your trial. And once the day after this, another barrage. I saw FBI agent Mark Wrench, the same agent, outside my home at 11 p.m. All the way up from the United States, and apparently there are over 135 cases of this on record. We're fast becoming North American Union. And so again, why is he here? He just simply wanted to make sure where to find me beyond any plausible doubt, because of the fact that they intended to come for me later on.
Basically the feds just spend all their time protecting themselves from bad deeds they've done. What about the threat you then got?
Well, there was... again, the threat was that there was a trial. Again, I mentioned there were secret government agents, FBI, NSA, CIA, Minneapolis police, Northwest Airlines employees, the airline which I was attacked, as well as prosecuting attorneys themselves. And then following this trial, even if you want to call it, it's actually a tribunal. The Judge David S. Doty, and the charges against him can be seen at CLR.org under federal judges. He's a charged ex-U.S. Marine for a judge. Threatened that he would have the U.S. Marshals come and get us, and literally that he compared it and likened it to Hollywood, indicating that Hollywood exaggerates the FBI, but not the U.S. Marshals. He says that they're every bit the bloodhounds they're portrayed to be, and this is all in the middle of a courtroom. You might say this is preposterous, but who's there to hear it when the jury pool is the government itself? Threats on the answering machine, threat of 9 years imprisonment, registered legal mail sabotage, wiretapping, voicemail deletion. My friends were threatened, the threat of a full jury trial.
And it's all because they got scared and beat you down, and they want to protect themselves.
Exactly. And so amidst all of this, I get 5 plea bargain attempts in conjunction with this torrent of illegal threats and intimidation.
So how did it all end? Because I've got to end it now. How did it all end?
Well, there's currently there's this outstanding warrant for my arrest. They've villainized us through the media. I've been hospitalized 6 times due to heart palpitations and heart attack-like symptoms. Friends and family have been terrorized, and again, on the impetus of this threat that the U.S. Marshals will get me and get us, I currently sleep with my door barricaded.
I'm so sorry, and this could happen to anybody flying. You know, it's worse. It's worse if you're black. It's worse if you're a big guy. But it's bad for everybody. And
like the stewardess says, we are trained to kill before we are killed. This is a stewardess speaking.
No, it's insanity. Look, they got mad at you filing a complaint. They called up. They do it all the time. They do it on the plane because they have even more powers there. And they did this to you, and you know, it's all on their soul. And see, that they're worldly and don't believe that, but they'll find out. And don't worry, you've been through a lot, but God will have His way with them in the end. But how can we help you?
Well, again, we are not guilty of any felony assault. And in fact, there's the assault that they have me down on is a minor assault, and yet they have me on an FBI site under major crimes. The point is that we're in fact completely innocent of all of these things, and yet government has abandoned us. We've been to Amnesty International, Foreign Affairs, ACLU.
Oh, no, they're really there to cover it all up.
ACLU tried to deny that any civil rights or violations to humanitarian liberties were made on board that aircraft, at which point I asked, being left in a pool of blood is then not a violation?
So again, I got to go because I got another story coming up, and we'll follow this as it develops. How can we help you?
We would like to try to create a greater sense of urgency and responsibility amidst the groups and organizations, amongst activism and government especially, in being responsible in responding to these kind of incidents, in particular.
So to make a long story short, you've been convicted or you've been charged with first-degree felony assault.
attacked, left in a pool of blood, terrorized, convicted, and wrongly violated, yes.
Not guilty of felony assault.
Not guilty of felony assault.
What are they saying you're guilty of?
Well, they're falsely accusing of minor assault, and they have me on an FBI site under major crimes. Again,
okay.
This is simply deliberate villainization.
So are you going back to court, or is this done?
Well, no, there's currently this warrant out for my arrest. If I come across the border, then I will be attacked again. And this judge has said that he has sent the U.S. Marshals to get us and follow us like bloodhounds. And so this is where this is at the present time. And so we're trying to...
I know, you're in a lot of... Listen, we're going to follow this. We'll talk to you soon. We'll get you back on the show. God bless you. We'll all pray for you. And this is just an example of a cornered family going through hell. We'll follow your case and talk to you soon.
Thank you very much, then, Alex.
Thank you. We could talk hours about this. And, folks, we get hundreds of calls every couple of days with similar things.